Hello and welcome to another live episode of GothamSound.tv. Thanks for being here today. We are talking about ambient boom poles, specifically the QP Slim, and I'm joined by Yannic Hieber in Munich. Hello, Yannic.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Thanks for being here. And Alan Williams down in Atlanta, Georgia. How are you, Alan?
Well, hello. Hey, how's it going?
Great. Thank you so much for being here. So today we're highlighting, as I said, the QP Slim boom pole. I've got one here, and I guess let's just get started on that. Looks like Yannick has one, and Alan has one. So let's talk about this. So it's the newest boom pole from Ambient. And I guess let's start out with what's special and what's new, and why this boom pole over the QP5 series that was released previously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, many of you might know the QP5. It's let's say our basic line at the moment, released some years ago, and it's really our most popular boom pole ever. It's a 5-segmented version, very lightweight, yet very stiff. However, we had some boom operators that were missing out our good old QS line, or the QP4140, the 4-segmented version with a thinner diameter that is more like, it's nice to handle, especially for smaller hands or for longer takes. So the request was there for a long time to do something like that, and one of the big if I say ambassadors or like speakers of this boom operators requesting a 4-segmented version again was Alan Williams. That's why he's here today as well. So so the benefit against the QP5 is the thinner diameter. Another thing we developed further is the locking mechanism compared to the QP5. I mean, the QP5 locks are super fine. However, if you kind of use it a long time and there's a lot of hand grease going on, there was the possibility that it has like a little lateral movement when you have like a heavy setup on the front. So we looked for an opportunity to make our locking mechanism a little bit more softer. It's a little bit longer, and it has like more touching points. So it's now fastening very, very tight with less effort. So that's the second major improvement for the QP5. You want to add something, Alan?
Well, the black tip is a big one.
Oh yeah, the black tip, absolutely. Yeah.
One of the things that that us boom operators really like is having things that don't reflect back at the camera lens if we're ever like being reflected. So if there's ever a window in the background of someone that we're talking to, we always have to put black paper tape or something like that over anything that's shiny. And one of the things that we've had with all the other previous, before series 5 booms with Ambient is we've had some sort of a piece that reflects back. It's been, the little kind of chrome looking piece at the end, the aluminum piece. It's been something. And now that's remedied. It's now everything on the pole now is dark. It's not going to reflect back. So it's great. That's one of the big things.
Even the black quick lock.
Yes, the black quick lock is a wonderful add. I'm glad that with the QP series, it was purple at the tip, and you'd have that, and you'd have a purple quick release.
Yeah.
Then it was a lot that you had to put different bits of paper tape on. But now everything is black, and even the little washer that's in there, the little leather washer, even though that's brown, you don't really see it. You don't notice it if you hold it at any kind of an angle. It's not going to be noticeable. So it doesn't concern me at all. It's great the way it is now.
However, my life as marketing manager was a lot easier when we had all the purple stuff on there, because it was easy to recognize an ambient boom pole on a behind-the-scenes shot from like a Hollywood movie. So now I have to look a little bit closer.
Well, this is a big indicator too.
Right.
And, I mean,
our
and the design of the
the highly conductive material sticker as well.
Yeah, I actually I left it on there just because when I first go on set with it, it's going to be a tradition that I usually have is whenever I get a new boom pole that has stickers and stuff on it, when I go and I show up on set, that's when I take them all off and start to, that's my my routine. So
Yeah.
Very cool. So these come in two different sizes, right? There's the short and the long, and forgive me, I don't have the dimensions memorized, and you can put flow through cables through it, even though it is it is narrow. It's got the new top that allows you to remove the cable by yourself if you want to. Which is really quite nice. And, as somebody who does have smaller hands, it does feel pleasing compared to a thicker pole. So if you are using it for a while. So let's talk about the development cycle for this. And Alan, you're here because a lot of the improvements to this kind of came from your brain. So let's talk about how you got into booming and where you started and where you came from. We can leave out other manufacturer names because we don't want anybody to get upset. But how you got involved with Ambient is, I think, is an interesting story.
Okay. When I first started booming, I was using other brands. I'll just say other brands. And I tried a couple of the major brands, and I kept saying to people, I want a really stiff boom pole with preferably a very thin diameter. And everyone I was talking to was saying, well, you would probably want to get your hands on an Ambient then. And I'm like, awesome. Because you see, I have a martial art background. And so one of the things I would do is I did, weapons, and bow staff was one of the things that I use. And the diameter of a QP 4140 or any of the QP series was very similar to a bow staff. And so if you snap one of those someplace, you want it to go exactly where you want it to go. And so when I first tried an Ambient boom, it instantly, felt right to me because you snap it, it goes right where you want it to go. And as Ambient would continue to develop things over the years, I ended up having a VoIP phone line where Germany was a local call to me. So anytime they would make a change, or when they went from the QL to the QX and I bought a QX pole, I wasn't happy with some of the things. So I called up, Germany and started just drilling them hard about, why'd you change this? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? And they were always very polite with me, even though I was constantly just, hammering them with questions and drilling them and calling back and saying, okay, well, I got something else for you. And I was constantly on them. And then over the course of time, I started seeing some of the changes that I had suggested and wanted to see in the QX line, for example, become the QXS line. And then some of the things that I wanted to see in the QP line, because they went from the QP 4140 that was the matte dark gray version, and then they created the pole weave design, which was it's kind of a cross type design similar to this, but it was higher gloss. And I was running into some issues where it was reflecting off of some of the lights that DP was using because he was doing a very interesting style. I'll call it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called Ambient again and was on them about this. And then they put a lot of the input that I had, including the videos that I sent them, into the development of the QS line. And so I was the very first person to want a QS, as soon as I heard that was announced. And I also, as soon as the QSX series or QXS series was launched, I was calling Gotham and buying one of those too. So I've been very quick to buy whatever the newest pole was on the market when Ambient would do it, and then instantly call them and start saying, okay, this, and I would like to, if there was any development changes or anything like that. So when they silently discontinued the QS line, I started having people reach out to me through SoundSpeeds and said, do you know where I can buy a QS? I'm like, yeah, just buy them anywhere. And they're like, no, they've been discontinued. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And then I found out also the QP line was discontinued because they felt that the Series 5 line should be replaced. It could be a replacement for everything. And so then I started contacting Ambient and saying, where is my 4-section boom? I need a 4-section. People want 4-section booms. And that kind of led me to pressuring them. Benedict was the person that was answering my emails. And I said, okay, can we, I kept saying, can we do a video call? Can we do a video call? And finally he agreed to, and he says, I've scheduled you for a 45-minute call. I kept him on for almost 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, and it was just drilling him. So why did Ambient do this? No. Why did Ambient? No. Why did you change it? You say that, your customers love this, but I'm also one of your customers and I would like to see this. And there were many people. And so I kept pushing. And finally he would go back to people at Ambient and talk to them. And they would say, okay, there may be something on this. And then we started going back and forth. So a lot of the suggestions that I made, I put into emails, followed up with after they would talk about things and develop it, they come back. And then at NAB in 2023, I started having little spies say, "Hey, have you seen what Ambient has?" I'm like, "No, send me some pictures." And they sent me pictures. I'm like, "Hey, those are some of the changes I've been talking about." So I got all excited. And, so that's kind of how I
Yeah.
ended up a lot of these changes and stuff that happened on the Series 5. The slim version made it. Now, and one of the big reasons that I like, I'm just going to keep on talking.
Sure.
Because that's my nature. One of the reasons that I like the thinner boom poles is because I've developed a style over the years where if you hold a boom in your wrist and you're holding a big heavy boom, it torques back like this on your wrist. If you hold it over your head, you have a tendency of having to hold it and prevent it from falling over like this if it's a heavy boom. So you have to do either over or like this, and holding it in the middle is natural too. But a lot of times people will start muscle shifting and things will go into one of these weird angles. But it's very easy to just let your hand, if you let your hand naturally just relax, the natural relaxing point is almost exactly where it is on an Ambient Slim. And if you were to hold a boom like this, very relaxed, one of the things that I found is that I could rotate my hands around and rest it in fingers. So now my entire wrist is in alignment with the forearm. So everything is now relaxed, just gently in my hands. I'm able to instantly, it's kind of hard in here, but instantly just rotate things around however I want to. It's very natural. It's very easy. And other boom poles are very thick. You can't, thicker. Even if they're just any brand of 5-section, it's more difficult and more of a stretch. To the biggest diameter booms out there is like an exercise of cramming. And if you have a big hand, it's no problem. Some boom operators are giants that are like 6'5" or sometimes taller. But if you're a more shorter size that maybe starts with a 5 in feet. I don't know what it is in meters. But if you're shorter, then you might want to try something that has a thinner diameter. And there's only been one other manufacturer when Ambient did not have a 4-section model that had a 4-section boom. And so I said, well, you were known for 4-section booms. That's one of the big selling points that Ambient had for years is 4-section booms with less segments that we would have to pull out on set. And you just extend the thing out and it's a small diameter, less segments. And yes, it's going to be longer, but we need that. And also the locks are so important. Having something that literally with the tiniest little bit of pressure locks like a beast. I mean, and I'll show you this real quick. If I just simply take my finger and it goes from sliding to, watch this, I will take my finger again and now I'll lock it. And now you cannot press it. And I'm literally seeing stars flying around now. But then I just go like this.
And it's done. Yeah.
And it's back together. Jeez, I need some water now. But it's really a very, very fine-tuned, it's years of development on Ambient's side to make the Series 5. And the Slim is what, if you're a fan of Ambient's, QP 4140 and the QS, then the Slim is naturally the one you're going to gravitate towards because it's really a solid pole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a couple of things, and Yannic, I do want to hear from you, but I do want to say we're live. So if anybody's watching and wants to, ask Alan or Yannic anything, please feel free to put your questions in the chat and we'll get to them. And Yannic, what did you want to say?
Well, I wanted to say to Alan that isn't this the beauty of like working together with a manufacturer with a little bit of persistence, you can really change things and make an impact. I love that. that's really cool. And as you said, yeah, it was like a lot of development flew into the QP line. I mean, it's still our co-founder Günther who is racking his brain around this things, improving little tiny bits in the thing. I sent you a photo of him from the early sets. Is this photo Can
Oh, it's up. Yep.
the audience see it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is from the pre-ambient days, actually, the photo when Günther was walking as sound mixer and boom operator. And actually, I talked to him earlier the day about this time again. So it was like he was using different boom poles that were available back then in the 80s, but they were all too flabby in his opinion. And then he found one boom pole from a brand, I know it down, called Optex. They had like a good stiffness, but they had like the screw, the locking mechanism was not so cool. It was like screws on the side, and you need a tool, and it was like really. It took a long time to extend and collapse the boom pole. So when Optex then stopped making those boom poles, then he took the rest of these carbon fiber boom poles that were already carbon fiber boom poles back then, and then he created, together with Chris Price, the other co-founder, he created the new locks. So he used this this carbon fiber booms and created the first locks, and that's why he called it already back then the quick pole, because it was like quicker. It was like quicker to unlock and extend the thing. So yeah, it's really has a heritage. The quick pole. It's the first one came out in the late 80s already. Just two, one for him, one for Chris. They just used it on their own, and then others came and say, "Hey, I need this as well." And so it started everything actually. Yeah, so this was the first product.
Huh. So let's bring that picture back up, because I want to get Alan's reaction to his form and booming on his head. What do you think about that?
Well, does he have neck injuries now? Does he have any kind of neck spine issues?
I mean, yeah. If you see Günther booming these days, he can just go like this, not higher.
Is that more of a shoulders or arm things, or is that more of a
shoulder? The shoulders and arms, the classy boom operator issue. Yeah.
Because the reason I was asking is because anytime you rest a boom pole on your head, it seems like a nice, convenient place to just rest it on the band of your headphones because it's padded. But the problem is, if you do that for an extended period of time, or even if you do that very often, if you do it at all, really, then what happens over the course of time is it presses down on your spine, and it leads to compression issues over the course of time. And it's already one of those things where boom operators need to decompress your spine. You need to stretch it out. If you get an inversion table, or you have one of those tables that you back arch over, something like that, those are great. I used to have an inversion table, and I'd go into bat mode and flip myself upside down every single night, right before I'd go to bed, and then I'd upright myself and throw myself in bed, so that way I was already stretched out. But then part of what happened in the world is boom operators started booming differently when scenes became where they just never wanted to cut. They was just getting longer and longer in these takes. We ended up having to develop different ways of booming. And the current modern style that you run into with a lot of shows this day and age is they like to be lower and shoot more up on people than they used to. It used to be that the angles were really high, the tops of the cameras were almost even with foreheads, or the tops of the heads, and they would almost have high angles like that. Now, one of the similar styles that you see a lot of is people are lower. So you can hold the boom without going over your head most times. And if it means me getting back an extra 4 or 5 feet and holding it from a more relaxed position here in front of me, I will do that and have the pole arch up and over a camera or a camera operator and be a few feet behind them, rather than being right up next to them and behind them with it over my head. And if you're holding it in a more relaxed position, you can very easily boom for a very long time, and it's a lot healthier, a lot easier. You're not going to tire and fatigue as quickly. Plus, if they quickly jump back, you can instantly go high as you jump back too. There's more of a buffer in there. And also another product that Ambient has, the QDS, the dipstick. If you were to take one of those and throw it on the end of, and I'm a big fan of articulated. As soon as I got my hand on the dipstick, I was like, this opens up a whole new world, because a lot of the times we'd have to boom from ladders. You don't have to do that if you throw the dipstick on there. You could very easily just articulate the boom up and over, and I can stand on the ground with the pole here at this kind of angle and come in above lights on set and still be fully mobile on the ground without having to stand on a ladder or something like that. And you can still swing it wherever you want it to go. So I really think that people need to discover and get their hands on any kind of an articulated setup they can, because that is a big thing that I think is going to be the future. The next big thing that we need to look into regarding boom operating is articulation and using that, because getting up on ladders this day and age, where people just, they love to throw remote heads and fill up the entire room with lights and everything and shoot in little shoe boxes and stuff. You can't get ladders in there anymore. And a lot of the times that they're throwing little LED fixtures, they'll throw those up on a magnet real quick and easy. And they'll say, oh, we need another light. Let's just throw a magnet over there. And then all of a sudden, that's right where you were going to be with your ladder. And then you have to take the thing out there. You throw an articulated segment up there. You can extend up and over all of that real quick and easy and avoid all of those lights and shadows. So I'm a big, huge, fan of that. So just to throw it out there at Ambient again, one of the other Ambient products that I think that people really need to look into is the QDS dipstick.
Very cool.
That's dipstick. Actually, I had an interesting conversation with a German director during this Berlinale. He was shooting some episodes of this British Netflix series, The Crown. And he told me that on this series, they allowed the boom operator to, in wide shots, to always stand in the frame, like next to the people. So they invested the money to do the, like, in post-production and cut it out. So there were, in many shots, was the boom operator visible in frame. So that's also an opportunity, but I think most productions won't do that.
It depends. If it's a static shot, then yes. A lot of shows this day and age, if it's not film, because film naturally jitters, but if it's a digital show and there's a stationary shot, they'll allow boom operators to be in there. I did this first, I think, on Hindsight back like 10 years ago. We did it some on Stranger Things. We did it on couldn't do it on Walking Dead because we were shooting 16 mil when I was there. We did it sometime, I've done it various different times throughout the years on different shows. I think the last time I used it commonly was on P-Valley season 1, where anytime they weren't, but these shows, they always have to have this like drunk weight, wobble to everything now, where the camera just has to move constantly because, people just don't have the attention span to just watch something. It's got to just constantly move. But anytime the shot was stationary, I'd say, hey, if this is a wide shot, can I jump in there? And all it takes is just throwing a quick little plate in there. So yeah, that's something that's that we would occasionally have somebody from post, the sound mixer would end up saying, hey, they got this screen grab of you standing in the shot. And, and it's funny if you ever see one of those behind the scenes, because you would sometimes see a shot of a monitor and they're like, why is the boom operator in the shot? And so I would kind of laugh and say, yeah, I can't wait for that to show up on the internet someplace.
So, we're getting close to the end of time. Is there anything else that you would like to say about the Slim? Or and I do have, since I have two boom experts here, I do have some boom questions that I love answered. But is there anything else you want to say about the Slim?
Just get your hands on it and try it. I mean, it's really a feeling thing. When I had it first in my hand, I directly knew what Alan was saying about the convenience of holding this. So it's really like a grab it and feel it and try it, I guess. And another tip regarding the locks from the older QP5 series. So it really helps if you have this issue that there is this light lateral twisting, that in 99% it's really just a cleaning thing. So do a proper cleaning, do some spiritus, some alcohol, and give it a proper cleaning, and then the locks will work perfectly again. So yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask maybe the audience or also you, Alan, because we are having different opinions from different boom operators here, is because you showed earlier how light it is to like extend and stuff it is. So what would you prefer? Is it like if you unscrew it, should it be really easy to extend it, or should it be like more heavy to do that, so that if you by instant do this, so it falls down maybe if you have a heavy microphone setup on it?
I know exactly what you're saying. And there's different brands that have different mentalities and thoughts on this. All right. And here, in my thought on this is, you have to do one of two things. If you make it where it just slips, and you release it and you go vertical with it, it's going to slam you. It's going to bite you. If your hand is close to that, it's going to come down and, your finger will get jammed in there. If it is too strong, like on the old QP 4140 in the QS, where there was 2 pieces of Velcro in there instead of the 1 piece of Velcro and the other, strip that you have in there. Now it slides a lot easier. Anytime you would replace that Velcro, one of the changes that I pestered you guys about a long time ago is the Velcro. If you put 2 new strips of Velcro on it, it was like an exercise extending and collapsing. Because the Velcro, I think that somebody at Ambient, I think, told me at one point that it was 0.6 of a millimeter thick, and then you changed it to 0.4 of a millimeter thick. Because what I was doing was I was taking the strips that were about this wide, and I was cutting off about 1/3 of it, and then sticking on the inside. But then sometimes you'd have unraveling issues over the course of time, so you'd have to change it out. When you change it to the 4 mil version, I didn't have the workout of extending it and collapsing it. I could only replace one of it at a time, but it was a self-cleaning mechanism that Ambient also had. So with the newer pole, you either have one of 2 things. It's either able to slip easily with one finger slided in and out, but it's going to bite you. And then one of the things that you'll run into is when you lock it and it's solid, you'll end up having segment wobble. If you extend it out all the way and then you lock it, this segment will sometimes wobble. It will wobble on the inside. And so what you end up having to do is make it a tighter fit. And when you make it a tighter fit, it's going to resist movement a little bit more. So I think Ambient got it right with the design of this, because it's not going to slip in and out accidentally. There's no segment wobble, and it's not going to be one of those things where you're constantly going vertical with it. It doesn't lock all the way, and it's going to slam you in the hand. So I think this is a good balance of all. So I would say don't mess with it. The way it is good. Because segment wobble is one of those things that some brands have, where you extend it out all the way, and you could literally put this part flat on a table, and you could grab the segment and you can wobble it up and down. If you cue the microphone really, really fast, you will feel it like a little kind of a shifting feel on the inside of a segment. You have none of that with an Ambient. You've never had any of that with an Ambient. The closest I ever felt was on the QX pole. And actually, one of the big issues I had with it was the flow through that you had on the QX pole was a little bit of a different design. So that actually had a little bit of a wobble in it. It did not tighten as solidly on the bottom. So that was one of the first complaints I had when I called up Ambient and was like, talking to Timo at the time. I was like, Timo, what's with this? And then that changed on the QX, S. So, but no, I like the way it locks right now. Don't change it. Don't change it.
Okay.
Don't change it.
Hands off.
Well, I hear that we might have a fun, quick video of the QP Slim being manufactured. So if we have that and can roll it in, I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Just a little reel I made when we visited the Boompo manufacturer in Lower Bavaria. Here in Germany. It's actually Günther's little sister Gudrun, sitting there and manufacturing it. It's like an ASMR thing I sometimes watch when I can't sleep. watching Gudrun manufacturing a quick pole. Yeah.
That feels like it's been a little bit of a theme of this video, because listening to Alan talk and watching him show off his booming techniques also seemed very zen, and I was feeling that vibe when I was also holding the pole and doing the same thing. So very cool. Well, look, I think go ahead
real quick. You have an older video that you called manufacturing the quick pole, which was it's got like a really cool digital type sound to it. It's all dark, and you manufacture pieces and stuff. And I used to love showing that, to friends and say, you want to see what it's like to manufacture a boot pole? Watch this, because it was like, very flashy and fancy, and it was really, really cool. And when I saw y'all release that video that you just showed, what was it, a couple months ago or something like that? I forgot when you released it, but I saw that on, I think, X, and I was like, oh, that's awesome, because we always wonder how the sausage is made. And one thing I will also add that that we were talking about boom poles, and when you said get your hands on a boom, it's one of those things where I'm a big advocate for feel. You really need to get your hands on something as a boom operator because, as they say in Harry Potter, the wand chooses the wizard, and I believe that the boom pole chooses the boom operator because the way that you work with the boom pole, you become one with that pole. You become symbiotic, and it has to work with you, and you have to work with it. It is something that it is the tool that you are able to cue back and forth with, move with. You have to balance with it. It's everything in your hands as a boom operator, and you need it to work with you. And the way that the oils on your hands, the size of your hands, the feeling that something has, the diameter, the just every single thing about it, the cabling, even everything about a boom pole needs to be configured for you. So if you have not yet tried one of the Slim Series 5 booms, you need to get your hands on one. If you liked the old QP4 series and you bought a Series 5 section, then you might want to try the 4-section Series 5 as well, because you're probably going to like it too if you like the QP 4140 or the 480 or any of the other QPs that they offered before they discontinued down to just the 2 and the QS line. So definitely get your hands on one.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. And we talk about this a lot here at Gotham. We're a big fan of try it before you buy it because, yeah, I love the Harry Potter reference. I think that is so apropos. But, everybody's different. People talk about it with harnesses and with bags and with boom poles. And it's just like, what does it feel like in your hand? What makes you happy? You're going to be using this thing hopefully for, the better part of a decade or two. So get something that you like and that you're not going to be, regretting it, 2 years later or a month later.
Yeah.
So, if you're interested in a demo of a boom pole and you don't live in New York or Atlanta, give us a call. We ship nationwide, and we really want people to be happy with their purchase, and that every time they go on a job, they feel joy. So that's what we're going for here. Anyway, cool. That being said, I think that's great, and then we're getting up on we're over the half-hour mark, so I do want to wrap it up. Though I have so many more questions. We did get a comment from Ferris at GFS Sound. Just wanted to say hi and thanks for going live. He loves his ambient boom poles. So Ferris, thanks for watching. And thank you everybody else for watching. Anything else that you guys would like to say just to wrap up, or can we say see you later?
Yeah, let's stick with that. See you later.
Perfect. All right. Well, Yannic, Alan, thank you so much for being here and taking the time. And both of you are a fountain of wisdom and knowledge. And appreciate you sharing with us and with the people watching. Again, thank you all for watching. For this video and more, you can go to gothamsound.tv. As always, you can follow us on the various social medias: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, for as long as that's still legal in the U.S. And if you have any question, somebody just asked about the Jumbo. What's the Jumbo?
Oh,
that's an oversized boom pole.
Oh, the Jumbo. Okay.
The Jumbo. Yeah.
I have a QP 6200. And there's a video that I have of me with it on a stand next to a Super Techno crane. I will. It's unlisted. I don't know if you've seen the video, Yannic, but I have this video that I will occasionally, if someone starts talking about the Jumbo, I will send it out there. And I extended the pole out like 36 feet. We were shooting. It was on a show called *Halt and Catch Fire*. I think it was season 3. And there was somebody who walks down an entire boat that was on somebody's. He basically had the boat in his driveway, but right next to the boat was a fence with all these iron, spikes sticking up out of it. So it wasn't going to be safe to stand next to it. Plus, they had a Super Techno crane that was going down and back with him. So I put the Jumbo right next to the base of the Super Techno crane, and I track with him down the entire thing. I have to shift it a couple times, but I actually boomed from the ground, and his feet were about 12 feet off the ground, I think. And he was walking, and the boom is just right on top of him as he walks down the entire length of this boat. And I have had on Walking Dead in Alexandria, for example, they had
Yeah,
16-foot
I
walls.
saw that photos from The Walking Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, so like they would have a super techno crane go up to do coverage up on top of the wall because it was like 14 to 16 feet over ground and people stand 6 feet over that. So it'd be 20 feet off the ground. No way you could boom that from the ground unless you had a jumbo. So I have multiple different shots of me that people would take, and I'm extended out, and the boom is right on top of them as they're doing coverage with a super techno crane. I just have to work out when they go in from a wide shot and how it's going to be. But I love the jumbo. I haven't had to use it the past few years, but it is literally 20 feet that way in a PVC case that I made for it. I love the jumbo.
It's also still available, but we do not sell a lot of them. It's really like special interest, and also it comes with a tripod and a counterweight because it can get really heavy to really hold it in your hands. It's not supposed actually. No, it didn't.
It didn't come with it when I bought it.
No, yeah, but I think it's additional accessory.
When I bought it, y'all told me that I was the only person in America with one, and then later someone said, "I think we sold it to one other person, but he's not in the film industry." And I said, "Can you find out?" Because I liked being able to say I'm the only person in America with one, because it is one of the probably I think 16 ambient booms I have. And it is one that occasionally what I'll do is a boom class I'll teach in Atlanta on specialty products where I'll talk about things like the jumbo pole. I'll talk about things like the dipstick, and I'll show different other products that are specialty things that people might want to get their hands on. And one of the things I use is the jumbo, and I literally set it up and extend it out and let the thing go across the entire room. And I will show people how to use it on a combo stand. Not a C stand, those aren't strong enough, but a combo stand definitely is. And I've created a system that works for me over the years as to how to counterbalance it, and it involves carabiners and different things. But oh yeah, the jumbo is a fun pole to boom with when you have the opportunity. It just takes a couple of minutes to set up. But if you look ahead and you know what things are going to be and you pay attention on set, which you're supposed to as a boom operator, you're going to know when an opportunity is going to be to use it. And I've used it, I used it on Halt and Catch Fire, and I used it a bunch on Walking Dead, and I used it a couple times I think on Stranger Things, and just at various times over the years, but I haven't had to use it past probably 3 or 4 years, even though I always keep my eye open for an opportunity to use it.
Cool. So Disa also asked another question about, so that the jumbo is still available. Special order, contact us if you want it.
Yeah.
So Disa asked another question about future accessories from Ambient, or if there's anything coming down the pipe for the Slim. I mean, obviously the internal cable was just released. Anything else on the horizon that you can talk about, or there's always new things coming from Ambient?
There's always new things coming, of course. For the QP Slim, I mean, there were some people always also requesting like an internally coiled cabled version. We are currently not working on one of those. But as Alan did it, if you really feel that you need this, and there are a couple of guys requesting it from us, we will probably do it. But we're not working on a coiled internal cable version at the moment. So yeah.
That's something I could honestly say that no one has ever reached out to me about and asked me about with regards to a Series 5 Slim. And actually I had one person ask me if there's a way that I have found to internally cable a QP4140. That was a few years ago. And I said, no, it's not designed for that. And I said, and honestly, if a cable was thin enough to be a coiled cable and put inside of it, I wouldn't want to trust that cable to last very long. Because because the diameter on that pole was so thin. As a matter of fact, that's something else we should probably mention real quick about the Slim that I don't think you touched on, was that on the old Series 4 QP and QS series, the carbon fiber segments were 1.5 millimeters in thickness, and on the Slim, they are 1 millimeter in thickness. So that allows the inside diameter to be thicker, which is going to be stronger. Thicker diameters are going to be stronger when you use the same amount of material because that's just physics for you. But if you end up looking at the overall weight of this length of boom, like this is the Slim, the shorter version of the Slim. If you have this and you compare this to the QS Mini, or you compare this to the QP480, then you will find that it is 25 to 40% lighter, yet it is stiffer than, except the QP. The QS is still the stiffest boom on the market. But if you compared a Slim to a QS, and I did this on my video where I talked about the Slim recently, I compared the Slim to other major manufacturers, even Ambient's old QP 4140 and QS poles. And even though it's 25% lighter than the QP 4140 and 40% lighter than the QS, it is still second in stiffness only to the QS and only by a little bit to the QS. So it is a very stiff pole, and it's quite a bit lighter. So that's something else we should also mention that I can't believe we haven't mentioned. It's the same. It's about the same length, but it's a lot lighter.
Yeah. Thanks. And if you have the feeling that you need other boom pole accessory, feel free to touch. I mean, we have other accessory. You might know our QWB, the wireless boom holder. We have our UMP, the universal microphone power supply, to give to phantom power the microphone to not drain some juice from the transmitter. Our quick lock, obviously. Yeah. So a lot of things.
And in fairness, in the past few years, and we're going to see more developments in this, the pocket-sized transmitters that supply phantom power that are light, and in some cases even lighter than the weight of a copper cable going down, carrying your signal down the pole, that is going to become less and less relevant. And you're going to have these transmitters more at the end of the boom pole, because again, a lot of the times, the reason why we didn't want to use the big cube style is because it was a big, huge weight on the wrong side. And so people would always put the transmitters on the butt end of the boom. So it was counterweighting. But the thing is, transmitters are getting lighter than the actual cable themselves. So as soon as we start seeing a lot more of them, and not just the ZMT4 from Zaxcom, that's currently the only, as of the time of this recording or the time of this live stream, that is the only transmitter that is lighter than a cable. But we're going to, I'm not going to say we will see in the next few months, maybe the next couple of years, we're going to see more transmitters released that are extremely light, that offer the ability for you to put it right next to the microphone. And your UMP and the other accessory you just showed are going to become a thing of the past, simply because people are going to be doing that at the microphone. So as a matter of fact, when I originally pitched having the Slim to Ambient, I said it doesn't even need to be cabled. I said, when you and I think, as one of the things that Benedict said to me in the conversation is, he said, well, we've given you the ability to cable the boom without add a cable and remove a cable without having to resolder. And I said, welcome to 2010, because that's what we needed back then. I said, now we are putting transmitters more on the end of the microphone, and they're high enough quality now that getting them up high over set, it's a great thing to have, and it's going to be the future. So especially as transmitters get lighter and lighter. So, I don't even see a whole lot of people really having the real hardcore desire to want to internally cable a boom, especially when transmitters are lighter than the cable.
Right. Yeah, we see that trend as well. That's going to be a thing.
But still, I mean, these are products that you've had for a long time, and those are problem solvers. Having something like that was it's quite literally a problem solver. Having that, just like the QDS dipstick, that is a problem solver. That is a good thing to have available and have under your belt when you need it.
Absolutely. Okay. So we are going to wrap it up. I will do the wrap up again, just so that our editor has the ability to not have to go back and splice things together for the released version. But anyway, Yannic, thank you so much for being here. Alan, also thank you for being here. Thank you for watching at home, especially the people that ask questions, Dia and Ferris. And for this video and more, you can go to gothamsound.tv. You can follow us on all brands of social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, for as long as that's legal. If you have any questions or would like to request demos or anything at all, or request content for more videos, email us at info@gothamsound.com. And as always, thank you again for watching. And Yannic and Alan, thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.